Hi everybody, and welcome back to Musical Planet. I'm John Jacobson, and today we are traveling, well, to our own backyards if you live in America. For today we are going to be looking at the music of the United States of America. Most of you probably already know where America is in the world. We are a part of North America and are sandwiched between our two neighbors, Canada to the north and Mexico to our south. In the east, we have the Atlantic Ocean, and in the west, the Pacific Ocean. America is often referred to as a melting pot. That suggests that people from all over the world have come here and have melted together to make a nation unlike any other. We have people living here from all over the world, and with them, they brought their customs, cultures, foods, clothing, histories, languages, and yes, their music. So what can we actually call American music? Native Americans were the earliest arrivals on this continent and played its first music. Native American music is sometimes divided into two different types of music: public pieces and secret songs. These secret songs are thought to be ancient and unchanging and only used for ceremonial purposes. They are passed down from generation to generation orally, which means they are never written down, but are sung to children who then later sing them to their children, and so on. When you hear the early Native American music, you hear a lot of percussion instruments, such as drums and rattles, and a lot of singing. Much of the singing might be made up of vocables, sounds that are not necessarily words, but more shouts and accents. Sometimes these accents are cues for the dancers to make a change in what they're doing. Now, it would be almost impossible to do justice to the history of all American music in this short lesson. From the call and response songs of the African Americans, to the folk music of immigrants from as far away as the Ukraine, Scotland, Ireland, Poland, Latin America, Europe, and Asia, and every corner of the world. So today, I'd like to concentrate on 4 geographical locations here in the United States and the very American music we associate with them. For instance, to most people, when you think of jazz, you think of New Orleans. Jazz is the American music that emerged from mostly African American communities during the late 19th and early 20th centuries. What's cool is that jazz music links together African and European music into its own American genre. It makes use of a lot of improvisation, that's making things up as you go, syncopation, and swing rhythms. New Orleans isn't the only place that jazz developed. Its subcategories of rhythm and blues, bebop, and ragtime were developed up and down the Mississippi River, from Chicago to St. Louis, Kansas City, and Memphis. Jazz is very difficult to define, but I think it's safe to say that it reflects the great diversity that is the United States of America. Let's travel next to the Big Apple, New York City. So what kind of music do you think of when you think of New York City? For me, it has to be Broadway. Broadway musical theater combines song, dialogue, acting, and often dancing to tell a story. Musical theater grew out of musical revues, which were basically one song after another, or vaudeville shows that incorporated funny skits and acts, combining music and story with such musicals as The Music Man, Oklahoma, and more recently, Wicked and Hamilton, make American musical theater an important part of American music today. Next, let's look at Nashville, Tennessee. When most people think of Nashville, they think of country music. Country music is very popular in America and has its roots in the folk music of Appalachia, as well as in blues and even hillbilly music of the southeastern part of the U.S. Today, country music describes many styles of music, from traditional cowboy songs, western swing, bluegrass, and so much more. Way back in 1925, right here in Nashville, they started a weekly radio show called the Grand Ole Opry, where country music was played every week to millions of listeners. You probably wouldn't have famous country singers like Carrie Underwood and Josh Turner today if it hadn't been for folks like Hank Williams, Patsy Cline, and the Carter family from yesteryear, performing right here at the Grand Ole Opry. Let's make one more stop on our whirlwind tour of the U.S., Los Angeles, California. Why Los Angeles, you might ask? Why not Minneapolis or Phoenix, Austin or Seattle? All cities with great music traditions. Well, for many years, Los Angeles has been the center of popular culture for America, and for that matter, for the entire world. Music and other cultural phenomena like movies and television shows have been created right here in LA. In the last century, American popular music has become extremely popular all over the world, and much of it emanated from here. Rock, hip-hop, jazz, country, reggae, punk, funk. Of all the contributions that America has made to the world in so many areas, it is fair to say that none have been more universally embraced than our music. Many of you may be asking, but what about this kind of music? Or what about that kind of music? How can you talk about American music without talking about our great symphonies, movie music, boy bands, and the top 40 pop hits? And you'd be absolutely right. In America, we have so much music to sing and celebrate. But we'll have to leave it there for today. Talk about those on another episode of Musical Planet. For now, I'll just say, be nice to your teacher, and we'll see you again real soon on this, our Musical Planet.